So you're trying to make this continuous go through the rest of the season. What do you need to do personally to continue this for the rest of the season?
Just stay in the gym and stay confident.
For Alex, 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Were you aware how crucial those free throws would be coming down that long stretch?
Yeah, I was very aware of each free throw around that time was clutch because it was always the difference between the one possession and a two possession game. But we've been shooting free throws all week, and I didn't overlook it or overthink it. I just went to the line like it was some free throws and didn't let it get to me.
Lester, big shot there with about 2:43 left on the clock. No air guitar that time.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
I felt like it was something a little different. My uncle, he had texted me and told me like the first three I hit, like he was a huge Kobe fan, so like he told me the first three I hit, he just wanted me to do like kind of like that Kobe fist pump for him. So that was just for him. So.
My question is for any one of you guys. Which one was your proudest moment in today's game?
My proudest moment? Probably when Boog, it was late in the game, and Boog, he had the guy, he was sliding with him, and I came behind and Boog walled up, and I blocked it, and Boog blocked it. You know, all week Coach been talking about coming helping, and Boog was playing D, and I wanted to just reward him on a good play.
I guess this is for Alo or Lester, any of you guys. You had 24 turnovers through 35 minutes, and then you didn't commit one over the last 5 minutes of the game. What changed? Like, what did you do in those 5 minutes that you can take forward and copy in future games?
PG. In the beginning of the game, we're trying to be aggressive. Everybody make passes, attack, get the ball up the court. And, we've learned from our mistakes over these last couple of games. We always have 5-minute or 6-minute droughts of not scoring or not doing anything and turn the ball over a lot. So Coach just trusted to put the ball in my hands and help make plays for the other guys. And we just kind of came up the court knowing what we was going to do before it happened.
You guys seem to be getting used to this sort of adversity, losing DJ. Anybody who wants to field that and just talk about what it's like losing a guy like that for the next 4 to 6 weeks?
He's a huge part of this puzzle. Like, he's a huge part of this team. A lot of people, a lot of fans were just really looking at his stat line, just seeing him having a couple non-scoring games, but he still affected the game hugely. He was a hustle guy, just always just out there scrapping, playing his heart out. And I feel like through these next couple games, we really just got to come together. It was I feel like it's the same scenario when I was out with my hand. Like, the team just came together, and now it's my turn to be a part of it. For all of us to just really come together, and he's going to be there on the sideline cheering for us, and we're just coming closer together now as a team, especially with all the adversity that we faced throughout this season. So I feel like it's just another way for us to come together and just glue together now, and we're going to do it.
Hey, Lester, pre-game, you had a bunch of Girl Scouts out, and you came and cheered them on, and that seemed like to give you a lot of energy. It seemed like that energy transferred to the first few minutes of the game. You guys came out a lot of energy today. Talk about that.
Oh, definitely. Coach tells us, he put up on the board in the locker room that we have 6 more home games left, and we definitely need all 6 of those. So just really, I feel like we haven't really this whole year came out and just really dominated the team from the start. And I feel like today we kind of just started a little bit of that. We came out, I think it was a big lead. We're up about, I think it was 15-7 or 16-7. And we just got going. The second group came in. They did an amazing job as far as the defensive end, forcing turnovers and stuff. And I just feel like it was just the pace of the game. And then I just felt like we started to let our turnovers take over.
For Lance, 14 points with 5 blocks. Just a little bit about your focus in the game to be so dominant on both ends of the court.
Well, offensively, just letting the game come to me. Coach Penny told me before the game, just take what the defense give you. They close out, 1 drill pull up, 2 drill pull up. If you're open, shoot it. And defensively, I've been a shot blocker. I take pride in my defense, so I don't want anybody to get anything around the rim around me easy.
I guess this is for Alo. Backing up on what Lester said about DJ being out, getting the win today, the day after you find out about it, how important is that for the confidence of this team? as you now have to proceed without DJ?
This boosts our confidence a lot. Just to let it know that we can still compete with teams that have their full team and everybody, on their roster. And we don't have our full roster right now. The entire country know that, and we're missing big pieces. And for us to still compete, just let it be known that the coaches did a good job of putting this team together with a lot of talent, and they're doing a great job of coaching us and putting us in the right situations to even still compete with these other teams that have their full teams. And we just got to stay a family like they always preach to us, and just stay locked in, and we can do anything.
This is for Lester and Lance. Alo talked about the turnovers. Does the turnovers get frustrating when they're happening? And do you feel like the last 5 minutes might be the key to, okay, we can do this if we put our minds to it?
Well, I mean, obviously they're very frustrating when they're happening, but it's on the flow of the game. Coach preaches to us to play fast and get the ball ahead. And in practice we do that. So in the game we try to do that. And when it's not working, in the last 5 minutes we didn't do that. We just, we came up, we ran a set every time, and we just executed.
Oh shit. Yeah, definitely. Yesterday in practice, coach had put a drill in where it was the last. He made it seem like it was the last 5 minutes of game, and he put the score 0-0, and we just kind of went up and down. And he was counting turnovers and offensive rebounds and stuff like that. That we struggled in the last 5 minutes when it comes crunch time. And I feel like that drill kind of translated to today, because I feel like the last 5 minutes of this game we really executed and we locked in, and that was really good.
Lance, the season started in the Bahamas and you were smiling and goofy, and now it's a lot more serious. Would you say that sort of the way that it started has put a chip on your shoulder, that now you have sort of something to prove?
I mean, I had a chip from last year, so I've always had the chip. The chip just grew really. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Crazy game. That's all I have to say. But glad to get a win. These turnovers are, man, they're very disappointing. But I am proud of the guys for playing really good defense in the second half, despite the turnovers. To have a team to shoot 20 more shots than us and us have 24 turnovers and win by 7, it says a lot about how good we can be. At some point, we have to turn the corner with these turnovers.
I mean, do you feel like the success at the free throw line, like canceled out the turnovers? Like, was that?
Yeah, I'm glad we stayed aggressive in that. From that standpoint, tried to get 15 to 20 because we don't shoot a lot of free throws because we shoot so many threes. Today we were 7 for 14 from 3, which was great, and we got to the free throw line and shot 27 free throws. So that did kind of offset the turnovers because we got to the free throw line.
Coach, it's sort of been one thing after the next in terms of adversity for your team this year. Do you eventually just run out of things to tell them, and what do you make of sort of their response today?
No, you can't. You got to keep plugging. You got to keep motivating. You can't run out of things to say, really, because they understand what this is. We've been here before. DJ being injured is like Lester getting hurt, and the boys rally together. And they're rallying together right now. And the mindset right now is every game is a big game. There are no more small games for us because it's getting too close to, seeding for an NCAA. You got to win out. You got to do everything possible to get a win. You can't give games away that you're supposed to win at home. Not this time of season.
Hey, Coach, your team came out with a lot of energy to start the game, and they finished with a lot of energy to close out the game. What can be done to maximize the energy throughout?
Well, I think the energy needs to be harnessed in certain areas and turned up in certain areas. Today we got more into what you're talking about with the energy. We went to our double fist defense 3 or 4 times in a row when we had Alo, Tyler, Damian, Lester, and I think Precious and or maybe it was Lance. And we got 2 or 3 steals in a row. It was Malcolm. Malcolm got a couple blocks. The energy went up, and we pushed away. But then we started throwing the ball away and let them back into the game.
Coach, besides winning the game, what's one thing that went according to plan, and what's another thing that you feel that the team needs to continue to work on?
I think what went according to plan with us was us getting to the foul line. That was something that I emphasized, the guards being more aggressive, the bigs being more aggressive, and getting to the foul line. The thing that we have to continue to work on is communication and turnovers. I mean, we got to keep communicating. We had some communication problems on the defensive end today that allowed them to get some easy baskets, and we got to get the turnovers down.
Coach, going back to the adversity, when you really look at everything from the season, from James to Lester's hand to the flu to DJ now, how much does that shape the character of this team and kind of prepare them for this last stretch?
Yeah, it shapes us quite well because we've been through everything that you can go through, from teams showing us zone to not scoring in the last 5 minutes of a game to being down big and getting the lead and winning. We've been through so much, and obviously James leaving and Lester breaking his hand and DJ having the flu and then Damian having the flu. So we're fighting. These guys are scrapping, and I'm proud of the effort.
Penny back here. The Lance Thomas phenomenon over these last two games, a guy that hardly played, got few minutes, and now has been pivotal in your last two wins. How do you explain that?
Well, I mean, you have to ask Lance. Honestly, though, it's just sometimes you just put so much pressure on yourself. It's the same thing with Boogie. Boogie, they were putting too much pressure on themselves. We understood the talent, and they got the same opportunities. Like I told you last week when you were asking me about offense, defense, subs, or whatever. I've been doing that. These guys got the opportunity. What happened this time was it gave Lance the confidence the way UCF played him. They made his guy a plug, what we call a plug guy. They played 10 feet off Lance because he was 1 for 16 from the three. Lance's first shot was over the basket. They thought he was going to work the plan. And he went and shot the ball really well from that point on. Now, yesterday in practice, he shot it really well. Today, he shot it really well. He's had those same opportunities, and his confidence was just being shook. It's just two different people. The same thing with Boogie. It's nothing that we held him back from. He just lost confidence, and that's something that he had to work on, and the same way with Boogie.
Doesn't seem like you're it seems like you're starting to feel more comfortable with putting more pressure, even though these guys are young and inexperienced. But you said, every game's a must-win game now. Every game's a big game. No worries whatsoever about, applying too much pressure to these.
I mean, if you're in the major D1 right now and you don't understand the magnitude of what's going on, then this level is too high. I mean, they came to a high major program to take it over the hump, and that's what these guys want. I'm not trying to put the pressure on them. The pressure's on the coaches, not on the players. They're young. Our job is to get them prepared and get them ready. I'm not shying away from saying that, in my mind, that every game is a must-win. We don't tell them, hey, you got to be perfect, you got to do this. You guys have fun, let us handle the rest. So it's not like we're going to practice screaming at guys going, we have to win this game. No, let's go out and do what we've been taught. And in the coaches' meetings, we talk about, hey, man, we have to have this win. That's how we talk.
After all those turnovers, Penny, the last 5 minutes, it was clean. There were no turnovers. Is it because they seemed like they were playing deliberately, carefully? Is there something in that they can do all game long, or is
that's us setting up? That's them not really fast breaking. That's me putting a halt on the ball and just saying this is what we're going to run, and we do exceptionally well with that. Well, we won't. It's a fine line because we want tempo, but if it continues, it seems like it's going to continue. And today we scored 70, but the most points we scored in a minute. And we were down DJ, and a lot of guys really didn't play as many minutes. So it's a fine line from walking it up every time and getting into that. But it seems like, we talked about during the game putting the brakes on and just saying, hey, run set. So in the last 5 minutes, we were just more deliberate because we knew we had the lead, and we were trying to get good shots at the basket without turning it over. But to answer your question, we have slowed it down more. It's just for spurts. Man, it gets kind of tough. They come in bunches, man, those turnovers.
Coach, over here, just with free throw shooting's been a little bit of a struggle in conference play, but today, 21 and 27 for the line. What does that do? We're talking about confidence, like for this team to be able to hit those in the clutch here in the second half primarily.
It does a lot for their confidence because we weren't making them before, but we weren't going enough. I think if they continue to be aggressive, the more that we go, the more we're going to make. I think when we're 5 for 9 or only shooting 9 and 10 free throws, guys don't get a rhythm. They're shooting more jump shots, obviously not getting contact, but to be aggressive and get into the penalty early and knock down your free throws, I mean, that helps a lot. So their confidence is really high after this game.
Penny, over to your left. They get the news yesterday or whatever this morning that DJ's out. To get to pull out the win today in the first game without him, how much do you think that does for this group moving forward?
That was huge. That was huge. I mean, we know how much DJ means to us. He missed that Georgia game, and man, we were devastated, and we knew how much he meant to us. And we were on a 10-game win streak. And once that streak got broken, man, it was heartbreaking. But to win today's game without him, I think it was kind of a rewarding feeling to the guys. Like, hey, last time we didn't win it, this time we did.
Coach, what was your message to the team at halftime, and just how big was that block that Boogie got towards the end of the second half?
Well, my message at halftime was just to slow down. Everything was just going so fast. You can just tell they were in a hurry. Understanding Precious' situation with, I guess, the nature of what happened with his recruitment with UConn, it was something that he wanted to have a really big game, and it just seemed like everybody took on his personality, just rush. At halftime, we told him to slow down because we felt like we can get whatever we wanted on the offensive end, just protect the basketball, and that's basically was the message.
Talking about how important DJ is, how did you find out that he had that injury, and what did your reaction look like the second you found out?
Chris Simmons, our trainer, called me yesterday and told me the news, and I was speechless for about 45 seconds. I was trying to find the words to I wanted to feel for DJ, like, oh, hey, man, I can't believe this happened to DJ. And then I'm scrambling as a coach going, man, the time frame of what they were guessing before the MRI, and then once the MRI came, I had to be positive right away. Hey, from our point of view, like, I hate it for DJ, but we've been here before. We didn't have Lester. We didn't have James. And we strung it together. So I feel like that group of guys in there have been through so much adversity, it makes them grow together more because they're going to want to do it for DJ. But, man, I was speechless for the first 45 seconds for sure.
Just to follow up, you mentioned Precious's recruitment with UConn. What did you mean by that?
I'm saying, like, I think he was being heavily recruited by UConn, and they thought they had him signed or whatever, so that's what I meant by that. It was one of those games. He and Lester are from that area, the New York area or whatever. They know a lot of those guys and wanted to have a big game, and I think they kind of worked against Precious for sure. He ended up having a much better second half.